Hey everybody, welcome back to the Paranormal Rush Hour. I'm your host, Ryan Rush, and tonight I want to talk to you guys about Sasquatch on TV and TV shows. When really Sasquatch hasn't been on TV yet. Uh, None of these shows seem to be able to produce him, so that's still up in the air whether we'll see that or not. But there are shows that have been about this subject. And we've had a show actually about the subject since 2011. Now, it ran from 2011 to 2018. I'm talking about Finding Bigfoot, which was basically the show that really got everything mainstream with it. It really did expose Sasquatch research to a much broader audience. Um, People who typically wouldn't have been as into it as they were, I guess. So I mean, it wasn't a terrible thing. It wasn't something that uh, someone else couldn't have done better, I guess. But I mean, it's all right. But that show, man, it just didn't really seem that serious to me. It didn't seem like they were actually out to really do anything good, like and groundbreaking. It seemed like they were just kind of there to or I don't know, it had this like kind of joking, satirical vibe to it. You know what I mean? Not really like a serious research show or anything or investigative show or something. They didn't have that vibe to it, and that was always kind of weird to me. Like they wanted to kind of keep it a perpetual joke or something. Like it was just weird. It was a lot of that stuff. The reason for that show, I think, was to just push an idea. And I'll get to that in a minute. I mean, the thing is, the paranormal stuff is blowing up. Like, there are so many shows about paranormal things, like, especially ghosts. Oh my gosh, man. It's like, you seriously are just like overrun with options when you want to watch a show about ghost hunting because there are so many people uh, doing that stuff, I guess. And these shows are just insanely um, numerous, I should say. It's like there's new ones all the time. I swear, like last week I saw like three new ones, three new shows. I promise. It was like crazy. I know there were a few I hadn't seen at all. And one of them was even like a new caught on camera show, like uh, it was like ghosts caught on camera. It used to just be, well, I think they still have it too, paranormal caught on camera, which I guess is includes spirits and ghosts and whatever else other paranormal things would go to that show. And then you have the one just for ghosts. It was probably because people were sending in like way too much footage for uh well, I guess way more ghost footage than other things. Because you can find a haunted house way easier than you can find a squatch. So that's understandable why there's more ghost shows because it's easier to actually produce them. To go to places and find ghosts. But the thing is, it's not that hard to find squatches if you're doing it right and looking, and have the right mindset about it. Anyone could do it. I don't know that anyone with TV cameras following them around would do it. That's another thing that I've thought about before. What if someone like started going in and, well, say someone had a situation like I do out here where, you have them on your property or something, and what say somebody was like going out there trying to get a trust built up, between them or whatever, just to expose them or something. I've wondered about that before because there are people that don't care, one way or another. And I've talked to those people before, those kind of people who don't care, and they typically are the people who still think they're apes and stuff like that too. They don't understand how much like us they actually are. But that's kind of another topic, I guess. Anyway, I was getting sidetracked on that big time. But the thing is, all these channels, man, they have paranormal shows on all the time. And I'm not complaining because they are interesting. And I guess ghosts probably are the thing that, you know, appeal to the majority of people. They probably get the best ratings or something on the ghost shows. So, and the material's easier to create if you need to, I guess. I don't know. People are too critical about fake squatch shows, I guess. But, there's other things coming up too. I mean, like, I've even heard people like saying that they were coming up with shows about, uh, I think it's like Dogman and stuff. Like, that's really caught a lot of traction over the years. The Dogman thing, um, Dogman sightings and stories and stuff like that, which those are freaky. Dogman thing freaks me out. I've never seen one, never had an encounter with one. I do believe they exist, totally. I have no reason not to, um, because I really just have a feeling it all exists these days. But you know, the, that's the thing. There's so much of it out there now. You're exposed to everything, and I was talking about that in the last episode, when I was talking about the paranormal stuff on TV. Also, during that one, you know, you're exposed to it all the time. There is stuff on, and when there's not stuff on, if you're interested in it, you can go get on YouTube and check it out all night long. You can watch video after video after video on whatever it is you are interested in. And some of these videos will be compelling. They will make you think they are absolutely real. And some of them probably are absolutely real. That's the thing, there's probably tons of real ones out there. You just have to, decide what you want to believe, basically. I mean, not everyone's out there hoaxing. I can tell you that. And usually you can tell when it is a hoax. There's a lot of ways to tell. And, you know, you can get just a pretty good idea when you're watching it, just the feel of it. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not so obvious if it's fake, but a lot of the time when things are fake, I'll just have that feeling, you know. And when things seem to be a little more real, I tend to kind of have more of a whoa, I don't know kind of feeling. It's weird. You can really kind of sense it when you're watching it. But the thing about, okay, the Bigfoot shows, we have, we have Finding Bigfoot, which was on forever. That show, it had, of course, like Matt Moneymaker and that chick, I think her name was Renee. And that Bobo and that Cliff dude. And these guys, went all over the place. They would like show up in a town and have a meeting. Their organization, the BFRO, which was founded in like 95, would I'm sure set up these town hall meetings to these places they were going to go and record the show at. And they would find reports of Bigfoot from the people who actually lived there. Well, these reports, they would take the ones, I guess, that they felt were most credible or most interesting or whatever, and they would go to those places, I guess, and try to recreate the sighting, reenact the sighting and stuff, just crazy stuff like that to gain information about the height and guess the height and stuff like that. Well, they went to all these places, okay, and never found anything. Like, there was nothing on that show that ever really, like, was just like a wow kind of thing, and the show was on forever. I don't ever remember one time being wowed by something that was on that show. And it, like I said earlier, it all kind of felt like a joke to me. It felt like they would talk about stuff too. Like every now and then they would mention the more supernatural theories and stuff like that, like cloaking. And I know people that it just trips me out, how crazy people get about cloaking. Yeah, it's one of those things, and I always tell everybody, I tell them, the thing is, you don't believe these things just by hearing somebody say them. People can tell you all day long that this and that happens or whatever, but you're never going to believe it 100% until you see it happen yourself. And that's exactly the way it is with the Sasquatch. You know, I heard people say things that were just, I mean, I was like, how in the world? No, they can't do that. Nothing can do that. That's just out of the realm of possibility, period. That's the way you think about these things. And then you have experiences that teach you otherwise, that show you things are possible that you cannot explain. Well, that's how it really is, like in the research world, I guess. Or like when you're in a situation like where you can actually interact with them and learn from them and see these things happen. That's when that's when it all gets really real, and you realize a lot of things. But when you when you talk about that stuff, a lot of people can't accept it. And I understand it is out there. A lot of it sounds just outlandish and impossible, and that's just how it is. That's how I took a lot of it before I knew things and saw things. That's how I looked at it. I wasn't gonna believe that they could do this just because someone said it, or just even because I saw it on a video. It didn't matter if I saw it on a video. Video, could be faked or whatever. That's the thing. You don't know until you see it yourself. And I guess, what I'm saying about that is these shows are, you're never going to believe from seeing this stuff on TV. It's going to be entertaining, and that is all it's going to be. The only way that you're ever going to get your own answers about them is to go out and seek them. That's how you do it. But these people don't do that. They don't go out and seek them the way they should. And I'm very surprised that they don't know this, or if they do know this, they don't preach it at all. They don't say anything about it if they actually understand that that's how it is. I don't know. What I'm saying is they don't go about it the right way if they were actually wanting to get some kind of interaction with a Sasquatch. They don't do what they should go out there and do. And I've never seen a show where they did, honestly. But that show just it had a less than serious tone about it. That's the thing. It did not feel like a serious show about this stuff. And it seemed like it was trying to, kind of like it was a cover up kind of thing. Like it was trying to keep this idea that the Sasquatch are animals and, big primates or something that run around the forest, like chimpanzees, just don't have a language, don't speak, and don't do anything but grunt and hoot and holler and whatever. you know, that's the thing. It's like they were wanting to promote that idea with that show because they didn't ever really talk about. They would say they're highly intelligent, but what they're talking about is they're highly intelligent in terms of animals. They weren't talking about they're highly intelligent like we are, like people, like they can talk and understand and comprehend things. They were talking about, they can use a stick and a rock and grind up the food, or that's what they were talking about. when they'd say they were intelligent. They weren't meaning how smart they actually are. And that's why, it was just the stuff that they promoted on that show really felt like they were trying to hold it down, like keep everything suppressed and keep the truth away from people. And I think they probably were, because you got a show that people are gonna watch, and you've got people watching this stuff that wouldn't normally be checking out Sasquatch stuff. They wouldn't get on YouTube on their own volition and go look up videos on Squatches. Maybe they would after the show aired and they saw it finally, but before that, they weren't that interested. So it did expose this subject to a whole mass of people that probably wouldn't have had any kind of interest in it prior to that. So and I think that really probably is a good thing that they did that, because you got to accept what's actually here. I mean, stuff is here on this earth with us. And if you're going to be stupid and not open your mind to the possibility that we have things, okay, a cat isn't strange to you because you've seen them all your life. Okay, if a Sasquatch was something you had been seeing all your life, it wouldn't be strange to you. Just like a tiger is not strange to you because you have seen it. You have been to a zoo, probably. You have seen movies. And, we see it, we believe it. And we've understood that it's been around our entire lives. Well, the Sasquatch, okay, have been around our entire lives, but we've been told that they aren't real. We can't go to a zoo and see them. I mean, it's no crazier than a black and orange striped cat running around in the forest. Okay, it's really not, because we walk on 2 feet. Something else walks on 2 feet, and why would we think that's strange? Our human ego that we all have, and it's just an innate thing, makes us think that we are the most superior thing on the planet and nothing else can do what we do. Well, in order to maintain that illusion, we would have to think we were the only things that can do this. Okay. But if we're not, then why would it be so crazy that something else can do it? I mean, it's not a far-fetched idea. Okay. So, that being said, the way that they have portrayed them is just completely inaccurate. And I haven't seen any show try to pick up the slack on that. I mean, you know, we've been exposed to them now. And we have been for years, actually. That show ran for a long time, and I know a lot of people watched it. I mean, I even watched it a lot of the time, just, out of curiosity, just to see what they were doing and where they were going and how bad they were doing it. But yeah, I did. I watched that show, a lot of that show. And I never gained anything from it, but I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that anyway. I know what I'm talking about with that show, because I didn't see anything on any of it that I watched. And, you know, that they didn't produce any results in all those years. And you can't tell me that you go to like all these places and something doesn't happen. You do that for that many years, go everywhere. I mean, other countries, other continents, and they still nothing. Nothing that they would show us anyway, if anything did happen. But, you know, okay, we fast forward to now, all right, we've got that show Mountain Monsters, and it is just a complete, like, parody, I think. Honestly, I think that's what it is. I mean, it's just crazy. They go around, chasing the buck-tooth rabbit feather Bigfoot or some, oh, he's the meanest Bigfoot they ever was, and whatever stuff like that. That they make this crazy stuff up. It sounds like, and go out in the woods, running around, going through doors that suddenly appear out in the middle of the forest, the Appalachian forest. I mean, my gosh, man, door frames, door units, jams and all. I don't understand that kind of stuff. It has to be for entertainment. I couldn't figure out with that show whether they were actually wanting people to believe that that show was like, uh, they were really doing that stuff. That was really happening, or if they knew it was a joke and they were just like making the show for entertainment value. I can't figure it out. If someone knows, like, if that show is intended to be perceived as a satire type thing, as like a joke, if someone knows that for certain, please tell me in the comments. I'd like to know. I'd really like to know if that show is meant to be taken seriously or if it's actually meant to be a joke. Um, I'd like to know that for sure. I do. I worry about that one guy though on that show, the big dude. Man, he just I don't know. I just kind of worry about his health a little bit. I guess that's what I'm saying. Anyway, running around out there in the woods like that, he's a big dude. But that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you take care of yourself. But anyway, all right. The new show, Expedition Bigfoot, that's out. That show had, I mean, it actually had some potential, I thought. Well, okay, they go out to this area in Oregon, I think it is. And it's like some kind of algorithm that this cat figured out based on sighting reports or something. They were able to isolate the time that a Bigfoot sighting would be most probable or something, and isolate the area too, um, of where it should occur statistically, I guess, based on past encounters or something. So they were taking this whole scientific approach to it, trying to get in this place where they were most likely to have a Bigfoot encounter or get proof or something like that was their objective. Well, um, the show is attempting to be credible. It doesn't have that jokey feel to it like Finding Bigfoot did. It definitely doesn't seem like mountain monsters, where they're going around chasing the chicken-footed dogman or something. They're not none of that. It's actually like they're going on real stuff. Okay, they're not making anything up. So it's you know a location statistically that's good to a good potential place to find them. Um, you know One thing about it is, see, they've been heavily pushing the infrasound theory. I've noticed on that show. They had two the people on the show supposedly got zapped, and like one of them left the show, and they were theorizing that it was, or speculating that it was, uh, infrasound, that the Squatches used on the dude. Well, they, I mean, infrasound is a thing. There's no question. And a Sasquatch should be more than capable of producing a frequency that low, to where they could actually use infrasound. Well, they on the show are treating it like solely like infrasound. They're really keeping it grounded on that show. Okay, they say stuff every now and then about, um, other theories and whatnot, cloaking kind of thing, and I think they've said that once or twice, but the thing is they're trying to keep it really grounded. They're not wanting to go off into the paranormal aspects with this show. They're trying to keep it credible, and I don't expect them to find any hard evidence that they can show us or anything like that. But they have found things that you would find in the Sasquatch area. So, I mean, really, there's no question in my mind that these people are out there in a spot where the Sasquatches are. Okay. But they are not doing things like they should, for one thing. And, well, they they just really aren't going about it right, in my opinion. I mean, now they have a good concept, okay, but the thing is, you have to be able to go out there and gain some kind of trust, okay, for them to want to go, like, come around you and show themselves to you. You've got to be able to gain some kind of trust with them. And you can't do that in a place, in 3 weeks like they are. They're in this spot camping out for 3 weeks or something. You can't do that. You cannot expect that to be something, that's going to happen. You just can't. And, like, okay, here's another thing I don't get about the shows. All right. Why don't they talk about structures? Okay, I think I remember seeing like maybe one Finding Bigfoot show where they were actually talking about structures. They mentioned structures. But these other shows, like the Expedition Bigfoot or whatever, why don't they talk about finding structures? They have to be finding them out there if there are Sasquatch there. I mean, that's basically how you find them, in my opinion. That's how I always do it. I mean, the way I find active areas is I find structures and I go to that area where the structure is and look around, and there's typically other stuff there, other evidence, or other structures most of the time that they'll show you, it's either, um, there's either structures there, and I mean, if you leave, the place like it is, come back, you will typically see, if it's an active area, you come back a few days later and you will see different stuff there. You will see things change. Okay, this area won't stay the same. So if they're actually coming to an area, they're not just going to leave everything alone. They're going to keep doing stuff to it. And that's always been the case in every spot that I've found that was currently active at the time I went. Now, I say I do that in a succession of like 3 times. I leave and come back and leave and come back and find something different every time. I'll know that that is a spot where they are coming to. At some point, they're coming to this area and doing stuff. So there's a good likelihood that I would run into one of them here. See, that's the way I've always found these areas. All the ones that I record on my other channel, I always find them that way with structures. That's one important thing to talk about on a show that you're wanting to inform people about about them on. Um, like, you know, they're like signs. The structures are signs basically, and they're universal. That's what really gets me. I mean, you find X's here, and you also find them down in Australia. You know, on in another hemisphere. I mean, what's up with that? You know what I mean? Why are they in a place here and then they're in another place that's never been connected, that they can't get to unless they swim across miles and miles and miles of open water? So, I mean, there's got to be other ways, just like people. I mean, it's a weird thing, but these structures show up everywhere they are. They're obviously extremely important. and they don't ever talk about them. They'll talk about, like, okay, like on that show, they found that nest or whatever. They'll talk about stuff like that. But even when they found that nest, okay, that's another thing. Okay, if you're wanting to actually get some type of interaction with them, then you don't need to go touching the stuff that they make. I've always found that that gets you a long way if you don't mess with their structures and the things they create. If you actually go out of your way to go around them and not disturb them, that goes a long way with them. So they see that as a form of respect. Um, and that's basically what it is that will help you gain trust, is just showing them respect, respecting their areas. And that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand. They're like us. They're going to like somebody more if this person is respectful and they can tell that they care about, giving them their space, and this is your space and I will respect that, and blah, 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 kind of thing. You know, you can't really get that across to animals, like you could another human being. So if you're not trying to gain respect, you're basically looking at them as animals, because they are worthy of your respect, and that will in turn merit trust, with them. Once you've gained that trust, that's where you want to be. That's when things pick up, um, and things happen. And that's when you really start learning things, if they can trust you enough to be around you. Anyway, these people, though, don't seem like they are out there to earn their trust. Now, I did see on that news show, they did like some gifting, I think, with the new guy that took over for one of the dudes that got zapped, and I had to leave the first guy. Uh, anyway, I was gonna say though, another guy got zapped, and they like totally explored infrasound for that. I think there's more of a psychic aspect to it also. I think they kind of attack you mentally, but I do think infrasound probably is involved, honestly, just because they have that range to where they could produce a sound that low and cause that kind of reaction or whatever. But anyway, I got off on that for a minute on accident. I guess accident. But anyway, what was I talking about before I started talking about that infrasound again? Gosh, I don't need to do that. I'm totally get off track. Can't believe you guys let me do that. Anyway, all right. But they have found some things. Okay. They found evidence. I was talking about the gifting, but they found evidence. They found a hair sample, I think, and they've, I think, found prints, but I don't know that they've like cast any of them. I can't remember. I don't know if they've been like definitive or not so far, but they've got like vocalization recordings. No, and so it's like they're in a place getting some evidence, but they're not getting close to them. You know what I mean? They're not like going about it in a way where they could actually get some serious interaction with them. They're just trying to, I guess, get proof or something, which really, it's only proven if you see them. I mean, just like the tigers, you know there's tigers because you see them all over the place. People tell you they're real. People who have seen them will tell you they're real. If you haven't seen them yourself, people you trust have probably seen them, and they'll be like, yes, they exist, blah blah blah. And it's just not like that with Sasquatch at all. So, you know, I guess, But you need to show people something if you're going to have a credible show and have this reputation. And you could show somebody something and they would not be so quick to doubt it. So what if they do actually by the end of the show get all this crazy footage or something like that? And I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But I just don't foresee that happening, honestly. Myself, I don't see that being the case. But anyway, they did some gifting. Let's get back to that. All right. They left, like, what I saw, they left an apple with a marble, like, on the top of it on a stump in the middle of the field in this area or whatever. Now, they had found a nest, and I was talking about them touching the nest and stuff. And they found this Bigfoot nest, and I don't know why they didn't do the gifting right there at it, in a place that they knew that they were going to. But anyway, they chose this spot. Well, the problem with their gifting is they set up this covert trail camera, like on a stump, okay? So they're basically using the gift not just as a form of, as a sign of like good faith and trust and stuff. They're using this gift as bait. They're baiting the Sasquatch into coming and getting this and getting its picture taken by the trail camera or video taken it or whatever. That's what they're doing with it. Okay, it was all good until they did that. Until they strapped that camera to that stump. That showed me, okay, they're not interested in anything except trying to get cheap footage or something like that, which on TV, I guess it's not cheap footage. But you know what I'm saying. That's not how you go about it. And if you were trying to actually do that and get, you know, I mean, who knows? If you actually went about it the right way, maybe they would give you permission to give proof. Maybe they would pose for a picture, if you actually did things the right way. Who knows? They're as diverse as we are. So there's really no way to know exactly what they would do. I doubt they would do that, but wouldn't that be something? I don't know. But anyway, they don't go out there and talk to them aloud or anything, like you really should. Um, that helps tremendously. I mean, when you vocalize to even a person, if you're constantly talking to them and they don't know you very well, it makes them feel like, well, they're not that bad. I can talk to them. They feel like they can talk around me, and there's just something about it, that makes you feel comforted. Well, if you talk, that's the same thing with them. If you talk to them, it will make them feel better about being around you. And these are simple things that I'm sure they've heard before they've had to. I mean, I've heard it many, many, many times over, and you know, I probably haven't talked to near as many people as some of these people that are on the show have. I don't know, but I mean, they had to have heard it somewhere at some point, but I don't know. I mean, they just don't realize. I don't know that I'm not sure if this show realizes it or not, but most of them don't look at them like they actually are as a type of people, not animals. And I think some of these shows or organizations might have been created, by a certain establishment to keep the myth going, to keep it reinforced that it is just fake. It is just a cryptid, something that doesn't exist, or whatever. It is just a big dumb animal if it does exist. All that. I mean, maybe they're just trying to keep that hidden. I don't know. I don't understand why they really are trying to keep the Sasquatch so hidden. Because, there's more and more coming out about it. People are accepting the ideas more that they are a psychic type of being, more of a spiritual being, interdimensional being. Okay. And I mean, the thing about it is if they are interdimensional, that itself can explain cloaking. I mean, if you're in another dimension, okay, looking at us from an angle that we can't see because we only see, you know, three sides of it. Say they're in the fourth dimension. We can't see the fourth dimension, yet the fourth dimension exists and whatever is there can see us. So, if that is the case, if they are interdimensional, that explains the whole cloaking thing. Well, I mean, it would also explain how things get left inside my house when nobody has come in there, you know, stuff like that. All right, that there's just such a weird thing about it when you start getting into in depth with them and involved heavily with finding out about them. You'll find out some things, that's for sure. But I don't know. I mean, it's like these shows underestimate everything about them. You know, they don't realize that they understand languages. They have their own language. They they don't ever push any of that stuff. They don't ever talk about stuff like that. And I think they need to. If they're going to do Bigfoot shows, they need to start speaking about every the way to everybody. Well, everybody who has differing points of view should be represented. I mean, on the subject, there's all these theories, and I think all these theories should be explored. And I don't think they should just keep pushing the whole like animal ape kind of thing. I don't know. It's hard when you know better and you see this stuff, and then trying to keep a more neutral point, which I'm not doing that good of a job at while I'm doing this, talking about this stuff. I mean, it's hard to do, but I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about uh, something I wanted to say was, the Sierra Camp. Okay. Most of you are familiar with the Sierra Camp, with Ron Moorhead's Sierra Sounds recording. That right there will show you that they have their own language if you listen to those. Now, the thing I wanted to talk about though is, you know, that Missing 411, the Hunted movie. It's a very good movie, and I recommend all of you guys check it out. But anyway, Ron talks about the stuff that's happened to him while he's been up at the Sierra Camp, in that movie. Well, the stuff that he has experienced is just insanely paranormal. Like, lights floating through the woods. And he talks about all this in that movie. Well, um, it's interesting though, because he was talking about hearing a car door slam, and they're way out, like 8 miles out in the woods. And there wasn't a car door slamming, anywhere nearby. And then, when I watched Hellier, they were started talking about how people who have these certain paranormal experiences or whatever will hear like a baby crying or a car door slamming. It's really weird. Um, I don't know, but he stated all that stuff. Well, he kind of broke the mold a little bit talking about that, but they never said it was Sasquatch. They never ever said the words, "This is a Sasquatch, we think." They didn't even say, "We think it's a Sasquatch." Um, they never alluded to it at all, which was weird, I thought, because it's heavily associated with it. But I guess David didn't want people to think that he was putting that in there to make people believe that Sasquatch was the reason behind the missing 411 stuff. But that stuff right there alone is weird enough to make anybody believe that weird stuff is happening that we can't explain. If you look at the 411 stuff, that's undeniable, in my opinion. I mean, for real, that stuff's crazy. Really crazy. And we know it's happening. We know that those people are going missing. And you can't explain it. But anyway, I'll probably talk long enough about this stuff. I probably didn't even get anywhere with it. I don't know. I just wanted to kind of talk about that. I really don't understand why they don't just go to habituation area and get a place where they know they're at for sure. People have been living with them forever over here, and I'm sure there are people who would let them go out there, but because some people aren't really into it, they just have learned to live with it, you know. So I'm sure there's someone somewhere who would allow them to go and indulge in their situation, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just seems like there's more auspicious ways to go about doing what they're doing, and if they would actually listen to people who know, then they would probably get somewhere with it. Till they do that, I don't think they will. But I'm still going to watch this show, and I'm interested to see where it goes. You know, what actually happens from here on out, I guess. I mean, it is an interesting show, like I said, so it's not a total waste of time. But there's just some things I wish they would do different, and I really wish, if it was their ultimate goal to get footage, that they would actually do what they had to do to get it, do what they needed to do the right way, and who knows what would actually happen. But I don't know, it's interesting to see. It's really just cool how everything has gotten to be like accepted, way more accepted than it used to be. And it seems like it's just changing all the time and getting more and more accepted these days. Acceptable to talk about this stuff and be into it and stuff like that because there's so many more people exposed to it now. And it's gained a lot of popularity. And I only see it increasing in popularity, to be honest. People just they really want to break from this reality sometimes. And when you're into the paranormal, it does kind of give you an escape. Kind of, you kind of have to step away from reality to understand that this stuff is real. So step away from our perceived reality and go into a reality where this stuff exists and it's real and that's actually the way it is. So in a way, it's just opening people's minds, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I think that's all I was going to talk about. Probably wouldn't. I probably had a bunch of profound stuff to say, but yeah, you guys keep me talking about all kinds of stuff, and I have no idea where I'm going with it. Anyway, I'm out of here, guys. I appreciate everybody watching, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about Sasquatch being on TV, and maybe one day he'll be on TV. Who knows? I mean, stranger things have happened, I guess. They've admitted UFOs are real, so who knows what's next. But anyway, thanks everybody. I really appreciate all of you watching, and if you could, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and hit the notification bell so that you get uh, notified of new videos. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to say before I leave. I don't think there is, so I'll see you guys later.